in the late 70s, I was working out of Black River, and I came down here to haul materials for the habitat program. And then I moved down here in 1980 and ran the cold water program and the trout program here for 30 years, and then retired in 2010. Since I retired, I'm now involved with several agriculture boards, all dealing with managed grazing. I'm on the board of directors of Grassworks. I'm on the board of directors of the Dairy Grazing Apprenticeship Program, and trying to promote good land use practices is not only a way to protect the streams, which is where it started, but also as a way to fundamentally rebuild the rural community.
I'm one of the farmers on the Tana Creek Watershed Council. I've been farming all my life. I farm on the upper end of Tana Creek Watershed. What we do up there affects the Tana Creek way down here. And this being a Class 1 trout stream is kind of neat for me, because what we do up there affects the water down here.
Our crew out of La Crosse is involved. We have a habitat crew that does a lot of work trying to improve habitat in stream, and so that's a big part of what we do. One of the most important things about this entire group here is we're really they're trying to include farmers and make people realize how important management on the entire watershed is to the trout stream. So what happens on the landscape, away from the stream, up on the hillsides, the management of the land and the way that farmers are doing agriculture is very closely linked to the quality of habitat for trout that we have in the stream. So good land use practices is going to be critical to have trout streams in the area.
Our project area is the driftless area that we're in here, and we just work with various partners. Our primary role is just to try to accelerate stream restoration projects throughout the driftless area. So recently we were awarded a little over $9 million in Farm Bill dollars to work with farmers on stream restoration practices. So our streams are only as good as what the uplands are. So we work with a farmer, we use Farm Bill dollars to pay for like 70 to 80% of the project, and then we use our chapters dollars or trout stamp dollars or other funding sources to cover the landowner's share, especially when we have a public access to that stream.
People make that connection that good land use is so important to economic development, and you can have both. And I said here, Bruce has been grazing cattle here for a long time, and the stream banks are just as healthy now as they were when he started this. And so if we could get more people to do this type of land management, we'd have a lot less problems in our stream systems.
We see sometimes as much as 80% of the sediment that's getting into these streams coming right off of the banks. And so we come in, slope these banks back, and then we incorporate habitat for the trout. But typically, we can increase the carrying capacity of that stream by almost tenfold by adding additional habitat for that stream. And recently what we've been doing now is trying to add additional habitat for other non-game species as we do our projects. Also, we've got an opportunity when we do our projects to address some of the threatened and endangered species that are on the verge of being lost. So we also try to address those needs too.
I think that bringing more people to understand that it's all related. I mean, here we're talking about healthy trout streams, but it's because of land use. And because of good land use and healthy trout streams, you have people that are recreating to the area, people that are moving to the area to come in and take advantage of what's here. And so I think people are starting to put together that this is a system. You can't separate what's happening economically, socially, environmentally, politically from the landscape. It's all related. So,
with our practicing conservation, strip cropping, no-till, minimum till, we're hoping to limit erosion and water runoff.
This was an economically depressed area when I started here in 1980, and there's now a sense of viability, there's a sense of renewal, and we're starting to see more businesses opening up and more interest by people moving to the area and to live here, farm here, do whatever here and do it in an economically and a sustainable way. and I think that's so important, and I'm real excited about seeing that.
It's just creating awareness. Any opportunity like this to get the youth out here and get them engaged and excited about doing this kind of projects. That's what it's all about. Hopefully this is an introductory to something that they'll just start and will carry on. It's interesting when you talk to conservationists that are in this kind of a field, something like this, some kind of event, some grandparent or something got them interested in fishing and got them going. So this is just one more way to try to kickstart that whole process.
I think, into the future, it's just continuing on with the legacy that biologists prior to me set up to try to improve the habitat in these streams, because really that's the best thing you can do to create a sustainable, long-term productive fishery, is to have good habitat for fish. That way you don't need to stock them, and it's probably the most cost-effective thing we can do.
This has been an improvement, and it's an exciting thing to see that we're having more and more people pay attention to what's happening on the landscape. So it's a good thing.
That these kids, as they grow up, realize that most farmers are doing a good job of conservation practices, and we want the public to know a good thing that we're doing. One of our goals in that Tanner Creek watershed is to inform people that, the majority of the farmers are really doing a lot because they care about the water, and they care about the streams, and they care about erosion, and we hope these kids grow up knowing that.